Welcome again to this episode of THREE.Vegas. I'm here with intuitive clinical hypnotherapist Tammie Roitman. I'm here with master astrologer Kris Gray, and then my specialty is tarot. And what makes this amazing program so unique and so different from anything else out there is that we have a guest that zooms into the program, and then they get to ask a question. That question is then addressed by each of us individually in the order that the guest chooses to have us answer the question. So sometimes it might start with Kris, or it might start with Tammie, or it might start with me. It doesn't matter, but it's up to the guest who addresses the question first. So remember, how do you be on three? Go to www.THREE.Vegas, choose the How to Be on Three page, fill out the contact form, and then we will let you know when we're filming our next episodes. We'd love to have you be and have the experience of three. So we're going to be right back after this break with our guest, Chad.
Are you feeling overwhelmed or stressed? Remember to take a moment for your mental health. At the Mental Health Moment, we believe in the power of self-care and community support. Our mission is to encourage and empower individuals across generations to prioritize their mental well-being. Our program called CARE takes you through community, awareness, resources, and education so we can support you every step of the way. Join us at the Mental Health Moment. Visit our website or follow us on social media because your mental health matters. Remember, take a moment for your mental health.
Welcome back. We have Chad that's going to have his experience on three. Hi, Chad. Welcome to the program.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
This is going to be so much fun. So the way the program works is that you're going to think of a question that's important to you, and that it's going to be answered by the three of us, but you're going to choose who you'd like to have answer the question first. So you can either choose me or Kris or Tammie. It doesn't matter what order. We don't care, because we feel like that you're going to choose the order in the way you're supposed to choose the order, and all is the way it's supposed to be, which is wonderful. So first you need to tell the question out loud to us, and then tell us the question.
Okay. My question is, I just wrote a book. It came out last month. Actually, now it's been to January. And I would like to know what I need to do to get the message of the book out to the greatest amount of people so that I can do what the book is intended to do. And that's to heal those who read it.
Wow, that's a great question. Okay, who would you like to have start with your question?
Let's start with Kris.
All right, Kris.
Great. Hello. Okay. You are a Leo, which you probably already knew that. But your rising sign is actually Sagittarius, and that your rising sign is based upon your date of birth, the location, and the exact time. And so it's very specific to you because it talks about who you are and then also your experiences. So there is this placement in your chart that I feel is strongly connected to the book that you mentioned. And there's actually two. So the first one is, it's called Your Wounded Healer. And it is in your fifth house of passion, like your passion projects, creativity, self-expression. It also relates to children, so the kind of the heart. So this talks about the experiences that you have experienced, the tribulations, the maybe some sorrow and grief that you've experienced throughout your life. You can use those experiences to heal others. And when you heal others, you actually end up healing yourself. And so this is the way to heal others and heal yourself would be to follow your passion. So there's the other placement that is in your chart that I feel like might be connected and or have some influences. This is a very karmic placement. Usually it talks about the early loss of a father or grandfather. And it doesn't have to be a physical loss, although it can be more of a relationship loss, like not having something having to do with that relationship. So it could be anything kind of more paternal or masculine. The significance of the placement, though, is that you're actually spiritually guided by this masculine energy on the other side. And so it can be a challenge because of however it manifests in your life. But the reason for that is to bring you to a higher awareness through that experience. And ultimately, it's your spirit guides guiding you through that experience. And so that's where you're going to find your healing, is as it relates to probably something associated with that spiritual inheritance, is what I call it. So a lot of times you might take after the person in a lot of ways and not even know it. Like there's a possibility of not even knowing this person, but you end up spiritually inheriting from the person. You have a couple other really strong placements in your chart as it talks about career. And one of them is that people really love working with you. They really like you. Like you're very likable. You're very easygoing. You can also be very intense about your work, but people like working with you in general. And so because of that, you're able to influence people. And it's almost kind of like this gentle, how to explain this? It's like the iron fist and the velvet glove, but it's, so you have this very strong presence and the ability to really laser focus and persevere through anything that you want to execute. And because people like you, you win a lot of people in your favor. So they end up working for you. You have this natural ability to lead and influence people. And it benefits you very, very well. And then also there's this very big humanitarian energy to you as well, helping others. Maybe there's some charities that you like to, or charities or nonprofits or associations that you like to be a part of. But so to answer your question, follow your passion. What feels authentic to you, it's going to be the best course of action to go for. This feels like very kind of unique, unusual way of connecting with people. And it would be associated with any kind of groups, associations, friendships. It looks like you have a lot of friends. And so a lot of people that are willing to help you. So I feel like networking with the people that are in your influence or people who know of you is going to be really, really helpful.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Okay. All right, Chad. So who would you like to have address your question next?
Let's go to, let's see, Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, Gina?
Tammie? Or
Tammie,
Mona?
I mean, Tammie, sorry.
It's so funny because we've had a couple episodes where people have popped up with names that are not associated with the program. So it makes me wonder, do you know a Gina?
I do. You look like someone I know named Gina.
That's fine. Okay. All right, Tammie, take it away.
Okay. Thank you, and grateful to be in service to you. When you first came on the screen, I saw like a sunrise, like the most beautiful flowing energy that you have to you. And I think that's what Kris was saying about a lot of people wanting to be around you because of this unique flowing energy that you have about yourself. On that, I'm also getting a deep sadness that almost presents like anxious, and a part of you not 100% confident in yourself or your abilities. And I get, when it comes to your book, that your book will take off, but I'm not sure right now it will take off, because I think you need to go back and read it for yourself, and it's going to click something in you that still needs to be resolved. Because if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, you wrote the book to try to help yourself as well. And in that, to help other people. But there's still a part deep within you that is still holding on. And until you discover what that is and forgive and let go, forgive yourself, forgive whoever else was involved and let it go, it's going to hold your book back, because that's also the next step for you, is to be free of your entire past. And then you're going to see that people are going to gravitate towards you. But it's also your own learning, your own movement forward. And in that, you have to let go. The past is not going to serve you moving forward in any way, shape, or form.
It's great advice.
Wow. That's okay. You ready?
And be confident in yourself, because you have a lot of amazing things to share with the world. Don't ever second guess yourself.
All right, I'm going to clear the cards for you here. So at the end of my segment, and before we start brainstorming on you, because that's what we're going to do, I want you to actually tell us and our audience the title of your book, but don't say it now, okay? So you're going to hear me clearing the cards for you really quick. I get this huge feeling of potential connected with your question. So I'm going to draw the cards for you. Setting these aside. All right. So, wow. Okay. So what I love about the way we do this program here is that John has this extra camera that zooms in on the cards that I actually have drawn for you here. And what's interesting is we work in front of a green screen. So the one card's coming up a little weird here on the upper segment because there's a lot of green in it. But the card I really want to concentrate on for you is this card that's the base of your reading. It looks like it's a totally black card. Well, it is a totally black card, but that means that the potential of it is so big we can't capture the picture on the screen. So I'll say it like this. This card is like trying to take a picture of the Taj Mahal from an inch away with a Polaroid camera. When you develop the film, it's going to look just like this picture. So there's something so big that you've just took a picture of that you have, with your project, you've only literally scratched the surface. Because what this is saying here is that I think that there's a maturity or some sort of vibration that it's like you getting a very tough skin for what might happen as a result of this book, because this is the opening the can of worms kind of vibration. It's so big that we can't put a picture on the card. I actually wonder if there will be a screenplay as a result of the book that you wrote. And what's interesting is that this is not the only thing you're going to do. This is just opening the can of worms now, because what will happen is when somebody asks you what motivated you to write the book, what's going to happen is that's the can of worms. So when somebody is smart enough to go, what inspired you to write this book, you're actually going to tap into a true story of your own life that becomes almost more magnificent than what you created out of that pain. So you have a card here that's called laziness. It doesn't mean that you're lazy. It means that you actually know in your heart of hearts that there's more to do connected with this. There's a deep letting go card, which is what this card is. So when Tammie touched on the idea of letting go of the pain, freeing yourself from the pain, your next project might be just that task. And I make it sound so easy. Oh, well, we're just going to address that and then it's done. But no, it's a big deal, because the next card talks about integration. It talks about the reason why people like you when they meet you is because they pick up someone that is not fake, that's not shallow, that when you come from your perspective, you're coming from a place of experience. You also innately and intuitively understand the pain of other people without ever talking about it. So your own empathy, sympathy, connection to people, that's why you can look at someone and know right away if they're the real deal or full of crap, as soon as you look at them because of your own experiences. The blessing of your own experiences has actually allowed you to use those as red flags for other people. So you can pick up a vibration because you had to deal with it when you were so young. And I get 8 years old is a huge turning point for you. But what I get is that because you were, and I'm going to use this word, exposed to people that weren't authentic, kind, spiritually aligned, you were exposed to that at a very young age. It makes you hyper aware of people around you that are, and I'm going to use this word, demons. And so you can recognize the demon in the room very quickly, and you're very good at graciously dismissing the demon. So you could tell somebody no, but allow them to walk away and save face. But you know yourself in your heart of hearts, you just dodged a bullet. So to answer your question, is that will this book take off? Yes, but there's 3 or 4 other stories within the book because those stories motivated you to write chapters or segments in the book. And I'm getting 4 specifically because when we go back to the cards, there's a card called integration, and it shows a very calm face, and that's the calm face that all the public sees. However, the calm face is a result of the balance of the masculine and feminine energies. It's the balance of good and evil. It's the balance of knowing the phases of the moon and that the sun rises and sets, that there's like the phases of the moon and the sun rising and setting, you have no power over. You just have to align with it. But that leads to a divine inspiration, which is where this book is coming from. And what it's saying here is it's the divine inspiration that actually lights your way. So when I look at this huge card of potential as the base of your reading, and I realize that you're being spirit guided to bring this to the table, what happens is that it uncovers all this other healing. Then I got to tell you about this woman. There's a woman here coming up in your cards that is probably going to be someone that helps you promote the book. She's someone that's going to help you create events. She's going to be somebody that might even help you create workshops that are along with the vibration of your book. All right, so now we need to know the title of your book. What's the title of your book, Chad?
Law of Zero.
Okay, and what I just got a little flash of goosebumps here when you said that. And the premise of the book is?
It is finding your authentic true self and reclaiming your power.
Through basically your own journey to get there yourself.
Correct. It does follow my journey of how I discovered this law. So there's a lot of story. It's a part memoir, part self-help.
Okay, so was there, sorry, because I get this number 8, was there something that happened around the time you were 8 years old?
Well, that was the time I was baptized into the Mormon church. And when I started to realize that now, like, you know, my sins will be counted against me. And so, yes, I do talk a lot about the age 8 in my book.
Oh, wow. Because the interesting thing is that was when you recognized your karma in this lifetime. It's a huge vibration for you. All right. So we're going to collaborate and we're all going to jump in here for a second, but I have to go cough. I'll be right back.
Your energy is so fun. Like, I see you like being the life of the party. I want to go hang out with you.
It's what I do for a living. I make people have fun.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
can see
Chad,
that.
what do you do for a living?
I own a corporate team building company. We play games.
Okay, but because as both Tammie and Kris were talking, my little internal self kept nodding its head, going yes, 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 because all of the things that keep coming up here is that you are, in my opinion, destined to be very successful, but it may mutate, for lack of a better way to say that, transform into something different than you expected.
Sure. And I'm open to that. I'm not tethered to anything really, just whatever it takes to get the message out. I'm open to it.
Can I say something?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes.
So I love your book title because, or the premise, I guess you'd
Mhm.
say, because you're wounded healer, which is, you know, how you heal others and then you receive your healing through that. It's with it being in the fifth house, that is the house of authenticity, living your authentic self. So how aligning is that? That's what your passion project is, because that's what it rules, your passion project. So I love that for you.
Yeah.
Also, I want to add too, you I didn't touch on this, but you have a placement in your chart and it's very prominent and it talks about being an intuitive. So your dreams are very, very important. So you probably have some very lucid dreams. And if you haven't done lucid dreaming, you could very easily do it. But there's a lot of guidance that will come to you through your subconscious dreaming, meditating, things like that.
All right. So Chad, what's your feedback of being on our program?
I think this is great. I like the variety of the different perspectives, and yet each perspective is different. They all speak truth, and that's how you know when something is true, because everything kind of points to the same thing. There isn't any misalignment with anything that either of you have said. I want to go back, if I can, Mona, to you with this 8. Something just came to my mind. It's actually in the book. But when I was 8 years old, I just turned 8. And I talk about this in the book. I was getting ready to be baptized into our church, and I felt completely unloved and broken. And I had an older brother that was just extremely abusive, and I talk about this. And I had a father that was very disconnected, which is why when you talked about this masculine energy, I knew exactly who you were talking about, because I did have this loss. I always wanted a father. I had a father, I had a dad. He was there in the home. He's still there. He's still married to my mom. But I always felt like he was never like a father. Like he wasn't what I felt like I needed and wanted as a young person. So here I was, 8 years old, feeling like I was being bullied by my brother. I felt like my dad didn't care. And I went out and I laid on our front lawn between these 2 olive trees. And I grew up in Palm Springs, so we're like out on the outskirts in the hills. And so I was under the, stars, and just kind of just feeling real sorry for myself, and kind of, feeling like I was not worthy of anything. And this female voice spoke to me and pretty much said, don't don't worry, like you're going to be loved beyond measure, and you're going to do some great things in your life. And I never forgot that. And it's so much I wrote about it in my book. And this female voice has spoken to me 3 times in my life. And the last being telling me to write the book and telling me the title. So it's that happened when I was 8 years old. It was when that first touch point with this outer being. I don't know. It was just it was a female voice. That's all I can say.
Well, and maybe that's the female that will be helping you.
This woman is coming towards you, that she's probably more outgoing than you are. And she's somebody that you find her by her reputation. So she's not the one that seeks you out. You seek her out, and that she ends up being incredibly helpful. The most interesting thing about this is that she's not coming up as someone on the other side, although you haven't heard the last of that voice, in my opinion. So there you go.
All right. And then kind of speaking now to Tammie. So you are correct. I wrote this book to heal myself. And you are correct that there's still more work to be done. And I even end my book with that sentiment, that I am still human. I am still imperfect. I am still learning, but I now have the tools necessary to get unstuck. And I do agree that there is still something buried deep down inside that I need to deal with. It hasn't shown itself to me yet, but I do know it's there because I feel this, like it's almost like an anchor. And my friend who wrote the foreword for my book, she's kind of like, why are you sabotaging your book? I mean, it's kind of weird that the day my book came out, the LA fires broke out. That's like the worst case scenario you could ever hope for. A slow news day is a catastrophe like that. And I think, how did that happen to me? Why am I, because it's all boils down to like your own personal experience, right? Not saying that my book, should not have, that fire shouldn't have happened to my book. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not being unempathetic to that catastrophe, but I'm just saying that I aligned myself somehow in a way that I would sabotage the launch of this book. However that showed up, it just happened to show up that there was a major catastrophe that day. So yes, there is more work to be done, and I feel like it's endless, really. There's always something that we uncover, and but I appreciate that feedback because that's not the first time I've heard it, and I now get to spend some time in awareness and figure out what it is so I can release it. And I have a feeling that what I'm still unable to let go of is the story that made me the most famous, and that was my conflict with the Mormon Church. And my publicist took that angle as a way to try to get press, and not a single press outlet bit on that at all. And because it's in the past, it doesn't matter anymore. And now I have a new publicist, and she said, I would have never led with that story. That's in the past. It's old news, and it doesn't have anything to do with who you are and where you are now. So that was really great feedback from you. So thank you for that.
I'm going to give you a gift. Life is individual, even though we are born into families for the experience, let's say. Life is very individual. It's not much more than our own self-love, our own self-acceptance, our own self-encouragement, our own self-belief. It's all about what we can give to ourselves. And your dad, the way he was giving you that gift. And you might not have seen it, and maybe something will really kind of ding in you that he was trying to say, not knowingly. You have to love yourself. You have to like yourself. You have to respect yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to encourage yourself, and don't go outside of yourself, because every time you do, you're going to find yourself very, very disappointed. And so the way he was gave you that gift. You just didn't see it then, and like I said, your book is going to take off, and it's going to take off in ways you can't even see at this point. But don't think that the fire sabotaged you. Think that your soul said, it's not time, because there's something that still needs to be resolved before you can move forward. And the energy and the amount of people that this book is going to draw, it's stuck because you're stuck. If that makes sense to you.
I would like to add to that. That's what I'm picking up too. There's like a missing piece that then I feel like you're gonna maybe have like almost kind of like a new when you promote the book, you're going to come from, it's like an added angle or an added insight that you didn't necessarily have when you written it. So there's some type of missing piece. And also I want to touch on, so there's a really big placement in your chart too that talks about your belief system, your spiritual belief. And so you have this action planet placement that it talks about like seeking the truth, like uncovering the facts. And so I want to commend you on, it feels like what it is like you pursued truth in religious beliefs or conforms or societal expectations, or so, like you fought against that for like the truth. And so that's a really nice, beautiful place in your chart. And then one other thing I want to touch on too, what Tammie was speaking of, there's something that you have to still release. And I feel like it might be connected to the mother or feminine energy. Like there's some type of connection there, because there's also a spiritual inheritance from the feminine side. And so that doesn't mean that the feminine, like the mother, or this is a feminine energy. It doesn't mean that they were physically present, but there's the experience that you have as an individual. It is connected to the feminine and the masculine, and you inherit from that spiritually. So
I keep getting reread your book, but don't read it with the ego mind. Read it with the soul moving through the mind and the body, and
No,
it will be there.
Yeah, that's great. I actually do that. I pick it up and I read it, and I always like, I didn't write this. Where did this information come from?
Yeah.
It's really wild, but yeah, it's no, all great.
Oh no,
you froze a little bit. Okay, so
if you can still hear us, don't read it with the thinking mind.
right,
It's going to get in your way.
that's okay. All right, Chad. Okay, there you are. Okay, so I want to say one more thing. Is that I run across spirits in my line of work that they didn't care. Their soul, their spirit didn't care how they got here. They just wanted to be here. And that you came into this lifetime, you didn't care if you were surprised your parents. You didn't really care who your parents were. So that mastermind of you came into this lifetime not really caring the sandbox you landed into, right? But that once you were in that sandbox, you basically took the best of what you could do to build the kind of castles that should be in your mind and in your soul and in your surroundings built. Do you see what I mean? It's like you landed in a sandbox, but you were the one that has actually created something so phenomenal here in this lifetime that it didn't matter how you got here. So, so I have a lot of clients that several of them were adopted, and their question to me is, why did my mother give me up? Right? And they take it as into a victim role. And I turn around and say, your spirit was so strong, you didn't care how you got here. You need to bless that mom for actually having you, so you could have the experience of this lifetime, and also bless the fact that you ended up with exactly the right tools you needed to have in order to experience this life. So what you have done is literally turned lemons into lemonade. And so none of this is a bad thing. But what I want you to make sure that you say right now before we let you go is, where can people read your book?
It's found on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and pretty much any online book retailer. I've even seen it on Target online. So, but yeah, Amazon.
Is there a website for the book?
There is lawofzerobook.com, and at that website there is you can download a free chapter, and you can also click on the links to for the various different places you can buy it. And the audiobook comes out on March 27th.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, it's a 9 day.
Oh,
The 27th.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, 2 days before the new moon solar eclipse.
That's right. Except you're just letting you know, your episode's going to air after March 27th. So you're going to have to give us an update on what happens for you, because now you have us invested and interested.
Okay.
All right, Chad, thank you so much for being a part of the program today. All right, you guys. Wow. We got an awful lot for him, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, you guys. How do you be on 3? How do you be a guest on 3? www.THREE.Vegas. Go to How to Be on 3, fill out the form. We will reach back to you and let you know when we're filming our next episodes. In the meantime, please go to WWDBTV and look at all the different programs that John Stiles has created for you here on the station, as well as on his YouTube channel, WWDBTV. Subscribe to the channel so that more programs like this can be at your fingertips. I'd like to thank Tammie and Kris for being a part of the program. We will see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in.